15 years have passed since the inception of A Certain Scientific Railgun, the first and most iconic spin-off of the A Certain Magical Index light novels. Railgun went from being a hugely successful manga to an anime that surpassed its parent story, Index, in popularity. Railgun spawned its own side story novels and its own spin-offs with Astral Buddy and now Mental Out. Maybe one day in the Toaru franchise we will get a spin-off of a spin-off of a spin-off. I'm keeping my hopes very high. In this video I want to explore the evolution of Railgun over the course of time from 2007 to the present day. I will also be providing my own verdict or opinion about both the anime and the manga to ultimately ask the question, has Railgun aged well over the course of time? It's time to look at Railgun in retrospect. Don't forget to subscribe for more amazing Index and Railgun content on the channel. Now let's go back and look at the history of this electric series. Due to the overwhelming success of A Certain Magical Index under the light novel publisher Dengeki Bunko, a request was made for an Index-related manga to commence serialization under Dengeki Daio, the manga offshoot of the company. As Index was already being serialized as a manga under a different label, it was decided instead that the manga would be a spin-off of the Index series, also taking place within Academy City. Kamachi Kazuma, the author of Index, in response made plans for a story involving Shirai Kuroko as the main character, but these plans were scrapped and a new story was developed featuring Misaka Makoto as the main character instead, who was the most popular character in Index at the time. A Certain Scientific Railgun, or Toaru Kagaku no Railgun in Japanese, began serialization as a manga in February 2007, with the story taking place just before the start of the first arc of Index, and eventually overlapping concurrently with the events of the arcs in Index. Railgun would focus primarily on the science side of the world, with only minor references to magic existing within the same universe. The level system of Academy City would also be further developed in Railgun by focusing on the dynamics between the wide range of espers that reside within Academy City, and the problems associated with the esper hierarchy. This is reflected by the four main girls of the series, referred to as the Rail Gang in some corners of the Western fandom. This featured Misaka Makoto, the main protagonist of the spin-off, and one of 7 level 5s in Academy City. Shirai Kuroko, a level 4 esper who works for Judgment, and is most commonly seen with Misaka as her roommate. Ueharu Kazari, a level 1 esper and Kuroko's colleague in Judgment. And lastly Saten Ruiko, a level 0 esper who wishes to have her own esper power and goes to the same school as Ueharu. Saten was an entirely new character who had previously not featured in Index, unlike the other 3 girls. Interestingly, Ueharu received a retcon regarding her friendship with Misaka. Ueharu had already appeared in the Index light novel with a supporting role, and when she recognised Misaka Makoto in Index Volume 12, the two did not appear close, with Misaka vaguely recognising who Ueharu was. This volume was released 1 month prior to the start of the Railgun manga, which devoted multiple scenes with both Ueharu and Misaka, as Ueharu was Kuroko's friend when they were young, and even joined Judgment together. Judgment being one of the 2 law authorities within Academy City, comprised solely of students who are espers and use their esper powers to solve situations involving crime. So Kuroko's friendship with Misaka helped bridge the gap between Ueharu and Misaka. While Misaka spent little time with Ueharu during the Sisters arc, Misaka and Ueharu were in a number of scenes during the Daisei arc, including the scene where Ueharu, Saten and Kuroko have their memories of Misaka temporarily erased by Shokuho, which made Misaka furious. The Daisei arc occurs before Index Volume 12 in the timeline, So why does Misaka act like she hadn't spent much time with Ueharu before? Apparently this retcon is referenced in an official 4-coma, which suggests that Misaka struggled remembering Ueharu's given name, Kazari, which is why she acted strangely in this situation. Whether you wish to believe this reason or not is up for you to decide, although things certainly become more complicated regarding this issue due to the Railgun anime, as all 4 main girls are established as close friends in the anime adaptation, making this retcon even worse than it is in the manga. The first arc of Railgun had no index counterpart, although still featured Kamijo Toma, who does reference the very first arc of Index. The first arc of Railgun was known as the Level Upper arc, which explored a device spread across Academy City to temporarily increase the level and power of the Esper who uses them. The arc acted as a solid introduction to the concept of Espers and the true nature of Academy City, and helped foreshadow both the Sisters arc and AIM or AIM beings due to the Level Upper network and the AIM burst. The Sisters arc then debuted in Railgun after it was originally an arc in Volume 3 of Index. However, the Railgun version was notably different from the Index counterpart. Railgun's version focused on the perspective of Misaka following her story before Toma's involvement, in addition to providing more context and depth to the plot and characters. Another arc with an Index counterpart succeeded the Sisters arc, which was the Daisei arc, but this arc was drastically different and did not follow the same overarching plot as the Index version. Simply the background of the Daisei arc was used for both versions, and the events of both occurred on different days of the festival, so that the timeline did not contradict itself. The following arcs after the Daisei were all unique arcs with no Index equivalent at all, although the timeline of Railgun still occurred simultaneously with the events of Index, and some arcs even helped add new context to arcs in Index, such as the Battle Royale arc. The Railgun manga is still ongoing and is currently focusing on Misaka's first year in Tokiwadai before the start of the main timeline. Due to the success of Railgun, it would inevitably receive an anime adaptation, which first aired from October 2009 to March 2010, animated by JC Staff. However, the first season of the anime adaptation took many liberties from the original source material. The first half of the 24-episode anime covered the Level Upper arc, although there were many differences in the anime version to the manga. Most notably, the Railgun anime placed a larger emphasis on slice-of-life drama that did not necessarily advance the plot, but was simply there to amuse the viewers. This different direction in the anime was likely due to the subgenre known as moe being very popular around 2009. In order to appeal to a wider audience, more moe moments and elements featured in the anime alongside the familiar action and sci-fi elements from the manga. The anime also made notable changes to some of the characters from the manga, and the way the story progresses was altered too. In chapter 1 of the manga, Misaka is advised by Kuriko not to interfere in Judgment's affairs, then a skill-out thug knocks Misaka's food out of her hand, prompting her to use the railgun. In contrast, episode 1 of the anime, Misaka retaliates after Saten is hurt by the thug while she was trying to help a child in danger. Saten is also presented as initially bitter in episode 1 of Railgun, as she has a stereotypical view of how she thinks Misaka will be, because she is a level 5 and from Tokiwadai, one of the most prestigious schools in Academy City, thinking that Misaka will be a stuck-up Ojo-san or rich girl. But after Saten meets her, she learns that Misaka is quite the opposite to her expectations, as Misaka seems to be a more down-to-earth person who acts nothing like the Tokiwadai stereotype. This contrasts from the manga, where Ueharu suddenly introduces Misaka to Saten, and Saten is simply overjoyed, and acts like she's meeting some kind of celebrity. Quite the difference to how the anime portrays it. One of the most notorious discrepancies is the introduction of Kongo Mitsuko. She first appears in the manga after the Sisters arc as a transfer student to Tokiwadai, who befriends Misaka after she chose Kongo to pretend to be her friend to escape Etzali, who was stalking her. It is revealed that Kongo simply wants to make genuine friends, but her father taught her as a child that people will naturally gather to her if they see she is of worth, which is why Kongo has such an ego and even thinks to make her own clique after seeing Shokuho's. But after everyone she approaches rejects her, her ego is deflated and she starts to think that she is needed by no one. But Misaka approaches Kongo at her lowest moment and validates her, proving their friendship is not fake anymore. And Kongo is inspired by Misaka to seek purely friendship rather than ego and power that is associated with being a clique leader by accepting Wanai and Awatsuki as friends. Now compare this to her introduction in episode 1 of the Railgun anime. She's a stuck-up background character who is just a generic Ojo-san, shocked at Misaka's power. She's not even meant to appear at this point in the timeline, and is not a transfer student, so Kongo's entire character is changed because of this creative decision. The changes to the plot itself were also very notable. Instead of progressing to the main plot of the arc after episode 1, episodes 2 and 3 are mostly filler and notably deviate from the story structure of the manga. Episode 2 took a scene from the end of the arc in the manga and adjusted the context of why it happened, and amped up Kuroko's creepy levels to new heights by condensing a constant barrage of her being a pervert during the entire episode. Or episode 3, which revolved around the anime exclusive character Jufuku Mio, who had a vendetta against Tokiwadai students and would humiliate them by drawing a monobrow on her victims. This episode could be considered as filler, but it is linked to the main plot of the arc, as it is implied Mio used the level upper to boost her Esper power. After the level upper arc, 2 other anime original arcs filled the remainder of the first season. The Big Spider arc, which focused on the past of Konori Mi, with her previous involvement in a Skell-Out faction known as Big Spider, and the Poltergeist arc, which acted as a sequel to the level upper arc. While some other creative decisions and changes to the first season of Railgun can be easily criticised for changing a lot of the content from the manga and having a larger emphasis on moe and slice of life elements, the first season of Railgun had an incredible impact on the anime community in both the East and West, which truly made the Toaru franchise popular across the world. The first opening, Only My Railgun, is still voted in Japanese polls as one of the best anime songs of all time, next to Neon Genesis Evangelion's opening, A Cruel Angel's Thesis, which is considered a classic amongst anime fans. Additionally, while the sudden shift of tone in the first season from light-hearted to showcasing the dark underbelly of Academy City with its human experimentation, I believe Season 1 tried to present the lighter elements more so that the darker elements would carry more weight in the Sisters arc in Season 2, showing that Academy City truly is sinister underneath the surface of these fun, comedic moments of the 4 main girls. While the concept of this is commendable, if that was the intention of the team from JC Staff that created the anime, I believe the execution could have been better handled in the first season, and some of the moments could have been spaced out more effectively to satisfy both fans of Slice and Life and the fans of the manga who were expecting more action and dark sci-fi elements. Railgun received a second season titled A Certain Scientific Railgun S, with the S seemingly abbreviating the English word second, and it aired from April to September 2013. The second season faithfully adapted the Sisters arc from the manga, with improved animation from its index counterpart, while also emphasizing the dark tone of the arc, with the use of ambient music and visuals. Episode 1 was the exception, however, as it was mostly anime original, and chose to introduce Shokuho Misaki, the 5th ranked level 5 in Academy City and Misaka's rival, as a cameo, one arc earlier than her appearance in the manga. After episode 16, another anime original arc lasted until the end of the season, focusing on a mysterious young girl known as February and her connection to her twin sister, Jani, and the dark side organisation of researchers known as Study. Known as the Silent Party arc, it would be the last anime original arc to feature in the Railgun anime, excluding OVAs. Then from January to September 2020, A Certain Scientific Railgun T aired, with the T standing for third, for the third season of Railgun, as part of the Toaru project announced back in 2017. Railgun T was the first season of Railgun not to feature any anime original arcs, with the Daisei, Dream Ranker, and Doppelganger arcs all featuring in the manga. This season also had notable delays of the weekly episodes that were airing in Japan due to the coronavirus pandemic. The main differences between the anime and manga in the third season of Railgun occurred in the first episode by reintroducing Shokuho in an anime original scene, which mirrored her debut scene in Railgun S and the manga, just in a different location, and giving Sogita Gunher an anime original scene to introduce his character. Also, a creative decision was made by JC staff to censor Sogita's iconic Rising Sun t-shirt due to fears of controversy in China due to the usage of the symbol by Imperial Japan during the Second Sino-Japanese War. The Railgun series also spawned OVAs, games, and side story light novel volumes to supplement the manga and anime. The manga is still ongoing, with the 17th volume of the series being released as part of Railgun's 15th anniversary, and a 4th side story light novel volume written by Kamachi Kazuma will also be published to celebrate the anniversary. Overall, what are your impressions of the Railgun series? I believe aspects of Season 1 are a product of the era it was released, but Railgun T has proved recently that the spin-off can still resonate with newer anime fans a decade after Season 1 first aired. Railgun actually overtook its parent story Index in popularity due to the positive reception of the Railgun anime, despite the huge success of the Index light novels in Japan. Regardless of your opinion of this, one cannot deny that Railgun helped the franchise grow to greater heights, which allowed the franchise to reach wider appeal in the West, and undoubtedly inspired many viewers to eventually become fans of not just the source material for Railgun, but also for Index. While I personally don't believe Railgun surpasses the quality of the Index light novels, it is still one of my favourite series, and it even improves many of the story elements found in the novels. At its core, Railgun is not only a spin-off that boosts its parent story, but it can also stand on its own as an independent series, which might be one of the reasons why Railgun has been so successful. But for the ultimate Toaru experience, it is important to check out both Index and Railgun, as that way you appreciate the scale of the Toaru universe more. I hope you enjoyed this retrospect video. What are your fondest memories of Railgun? And whether you are an old fan or new fan of the series, what would you like to see in the future for this series? Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe if you are new to the channel. I post regular Index and Railgun content, so if you are a fan of the series, I definitely recommend subscribing to the channel. I hope to see you in the next video. Bye bye.
楽しい楽しい